Tulio, look on the positive side. These things can't get...
Excuse me, were you going to say worse?
Well, it did get worse. Despicable Me 4 was the worst film in the whole franchise, Minions included. Right after they made Migration, which I thought was great, I was like, hey, I guess this is Illumination's golden age. And then came Despicable Me 4. Forget I ever said that. Hello and welcome to another review by TP Trailers. So I liked the first two Despicable Me films, the third was disappointing, and this fourth film was more than disappointing. It was bad. No, I don't hate Illumination. I like some of their films, as I just said, but this one was pretty bad. I guess I'll tell you why. So anyways, let's get to reviewing Despicable Me 4. First off, the plot. Gru is driving in his car down a road by the mountains one night. I think they did this to show their improved animation from their previous films as they had a bigger budget. Also, Gru looks like Preston from A Close Shave here. He arrives at Lycée Passe-Bon where he goes for his high school reunion. Many villains are there and he meets his old classmate Maxime Lamal, who is French. He makes fun of Gru, which gets Gru annoyed.
Gru, all your dreams have become a famous villain. They go poof poof, eh?
Then Maxime is awarded the Golden Alumni Award by Gru's former principal. Maxime then reveals that he turned himself into a human cockroach hybrid. As soon as Gru sees this, he uses AVL Tech to arrest Maxime and he is taken away to jail. Back at home, Gru greets the girls, Lucy, and his new baby, Gru Jr. Gru Jr. does not like Gru much. I don't know why exactly, but anyways, Ramsbottom comes to their house and tells them Maxime escaped prison and wants to destroy Gru's family. So to be safe, they need to go into witness protection in a town called Mayflower. Not all the girls are happy with leaving.
What about all my friends?
You'll make new friends, probably better ones.
Oh, I can't believe this.
They get new identities, not gender ones, including new names. Gru is named Chet Cunningham, Lucy is named Blanche, Margot is named Bree, Edith Blair, Agnes Brittany, and Gru Jr. Chet Jr. About Lucy, she says this thing about her name, but the way she said it made it sound like she thought the girls were stupid.
Imagine being named Blanche. Truly, I cannot think of a worse. My name's Blanche, isn't it?
Yep.
Agnes doesn't like saying her name Brittany because she thinks it would be a lie to call herself that. So then we get many side plots cobbled together. First off, Gru and Lucy try to act like casual suburban people to their neighbors, the Prescotts, and play tennis with them. Meanwhile, Lucy gets a hairstyling job, but it goes wrong, so she quickly runs away from it. Later, at the grocery store, she sees the lady she did the hairstyling for, so there is a shopping cart chase scene. Then there's Gru Jr. trying to get along with Gru. Then there's Margot telling Gru about how bad it is at her new high school. Then we have Edith and Agnes who, for some reason, don't need to go to school, going to karate classes. After Agnes refuses to say her name Brittany, the teacher gets angry at her so Edith steps on his toe so Agnes wouldn't have to. Then we have Poppy Prescott, the daughter of the Prescotts who wants to be a villain and recognizes Gru and tells him unless he helps her steal the honey badger from Lycée Passe-Bon, she's going to blow his cover. And so Gru helps her and successfully gets the badger. Then we have the Mega Minions, where 5 minions are chosen by the AVL to become superpowered minions to help stop crime. However, it goes wrong, so they are put into retirement. And finally, we have Maxime and his girlfriend Valentina doing villain things.
Card not red? Oh, come on.
Did you pull it out rapidly?
Yes, very rapidly.
And it turns out the whole reason Maxime became a villain was because Gru stole a song from him at the high school concert. And then it turns out the badger had a tracking device on its collar, so the principal of the school tells Maxime about Gru's whereabouts. He captures Gru Jr. Then Poppy, who is thankful to Gru for helping, helps him get to Maxime, and Gru fights Maxime. Maxime turned Gru Jr. into a cockroach, and Gru tells Gru Jr. he loves him as Maxime steps on Gru's fingers to try making him fall. Hey, didn't that happen in Interstellar? Yes, I think it did. So Gru Jr. comes too, and Maxime falls. The Mega Minions finish him off, being called out of retirement. Then Gru's family gets to move back to their original house, Gru Jr. is returned back to normal, and then we get the best scene in the whole film, where Gru and Maxime decide to sing a song for the AVL prison talent show, namely Everybody Wants to Rule the World. We meet all the past villains. So that's the plot. Now how was it? The good things? The gadgets we got to see Gru use at the very beginning. The Lycée Passe-Bon heist was sorta funny, as were some of the mini-episodes. The suburban culture was sort of humorful also. The music was good. Pharrell Williams, working on his own film Piece by Piece, only had enough time to do one song this time, titled Double Life, but it's a banger. The animation is the best of the series, mostly due to the bigger budget. The gas station scene with Maxime is funny. The Mega Minions was an interesting concept. The girls getting used to suburban life was also done nicely. Dr. Nefario returns briefly. And then we come to the bad parts. There are so many of them this time around. First of all, the many plots. A lot were not necessary. The marketing for the Mega Minions was huge, and in the end, they only appear in a small part of the film. The Minions were officially annoying in this film, unlike in The Rise of Gru just 2 years prior. Agnes just screams in this film mostly and doesn't have anything really interesting to add. Edith less rebellious in general, except for in that scene, seeming more like a sweet girl who says, "No, I don't," when talking about lying. Gru's character is killed. He's so cowardly here. Why witness protection anyway? Gru could just defeat Maxime and it'd be over quickly. Gru is threatened by a teenage girl, he's threatened by his own baby, he's threatened by a tennis ball. He doesn't use any gadgets for the majority of the film, and those were what made the first 2 films sparkle. He's just a boring suburban dad. Then Lucy's character is also killed. So really the only characters who kept their personalities were Margot and Ramsbottom, especially Ramsbottom. There are also other problems, like how Gru sang Karma Chameleon in 9th grade if it was invented after he was in 9th grade, unless he was kept down grades for many years. And of course, most importantly, there's no heart in this film. So in the end, I'm going to have to give this film a 4 out of 10. Yes, it was pretty bad. Not awful, but definitely bad. A cash grab for sure. How the mighty have fallen. Can it get worse? Well, it remains to be seen, but I sure hope not. You know, I actually made a whole plot for Despicable Me 5, and if you want to see it, you can check it out. I also hope Minions and Monsters will actually be good. So anyways, that's the video, and I'll see you some other time.